Ong Lim. I am joined by Mr.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Anthony. I'm part of the Seattle Ritchie Modern Club. I'm happy to be commentating with Korak.
And today we have the featured table for session 2. This is an A1 matchup between a whole bunch of big names. We have Kenyon and Eric, who are in the finals. Oliver had the third place overall score in the regular season of the Beta League, and Gimmick, who is the highest score in A1 currently. And the game is off to a start. Look at these hands. Deer has a really nice hand here. Hanitsu, maybe Chanta. Lots of options for value there. On the right, we have pretty standard Pinfu hand. We also have a Haku pair. Across the way, we have a Pinfu hand, but really the shape, especially because of that 4, 6, 8, 9 pin. And on the left, we have a very nice Pinfu hand coming together. Of course, if you draw the door, you get instant value, possibly Peiko and Mod.
Yeah, and we actually saw an interesting decision that Eric had to make on the very first discard by Kenyon, whether or not he wanted to call the Sal's right away before having any confirmed Yaku. But so now deciding to take the Hatsu with no other value right now. It doesn't look like he's going for Honitsu here, but can always pick up a door and incorporate into his hand.
Right, when you cut the 9, so that kind of says the direction the hand is going. Could also back into Toy Toy now with these draws. Would, of course, like a Dora if you don't end up that route.
And now we have a Chitoy Ishanten by Kenyon, but decides not to take it. This is better. I mean, you have a Ping Fu Tanyo, possibly a Peiko Ishanten instead.
It's a safe tile, and Eric says, we're just going for the fast wash away hand. Doesn't see any value here, and it's perfectly understandable.
Exactly. And meanwhile, Oliver's hand also has been progressing. He's Ishanten for a while now. Just waiting for the Hatsu or something to fill up in the Manzu.
Of course, you'd love that second Dora draw, but as for now, it's just can you call the White Dragon? And right now, there's still 2 on the wall.
Yeah, I think he probably definitely will call the Hatsu if it comes out, as it speeds up his hand significantly.
That's another one of those Karagiri that I don't like because you're indicating your so shape, especially after having shown Mon and pin discards. That just makes it look expensive and close, and that's actually what it is. You don't want to send out that signal necessarily.
Right. The 2-pin was okay, but the 3-so can give the wrong signals that you don't want to see.
But really, you're just waiting. Right now, the match looks to be between Yukitora and Flanso. So it's who gets there first. The big question, of course, there's only one south left, but don't need it if you just call the 1. So this will be Hatsunomi, but even on the Shuma, it's going to be the 1500.
Yeah, and we see a Gimmick deciding to fold his hand with not really much value and guaranteed bad weight. I guess it's
We
not
have
really a fold. He's
Tempai
still
on the right, 3-sided, but the cheap one comes out. Deals into dealer for 1 Han, and we move on to East 1 Homba. We look at these starting hands, standard Pinfu shapes, couple extra honors you don't really like. And off on the right, we have probable Honitsu. You could go Tanyo here, but those extra floating honors kind of push it towards a Honitsu. Across the way, we have an East pair. Really nice shapes elsewhere. You just don't like the 1-2 penchant in so. And off on the left, well, okay, with that 6 mon, it completely changes the hand. I'm not sure I get value here other than just Ricci waiting on Dora, most likely. You'd have double penchant with the 1-2 mon and the 1-2 pin. So you don't like those shapes, but the question is what's going to improve them. If you draw a 4 or 5 pin, then maybe you can upgrade with Peiko. You could call this Chun, but I don't know that it actually helps the hand any.
I think, yeah, she's going to discard the 1 to get rid of 1 penchant and upgrading to a slightly better Yamen for the 4-6 or the 3-6. And she's still waiting on the Dora, so I think I like this call by her. Otherwise, the hand could get a little bit too slow, waiting on double penchant.
Well, you allow yourself to shift a lot more when you do it this way. Of course, if you draw the Dora here, you have a 3-sided weight, which definitely fixes your problem.
I agree. We have to see Oliver. Let's see if he calls this Hatsu. He does, and now I think he's looking like Honitsu here. Probably keeping the 6-mon and just to disguise which Honitsu suit he's going for.
Right. I might have just gone ahead and called the 9, but I guess it doesn't help the shape that much, so that makes sense. That is Tempai, yes, waiting on the Dora here, off on the left for Chun Dora, 2300.
You'll see. Okay, another call by Gimmick here.
Lots of cheap hands going around. The only one that seems to have any value is the Hanitsu, but it's long way away from completion.
Yeah, that's true. And dealer's hand, Eric's hand, still a little bit far away. So
Well,
we'll
Eric
see if.
probably also doesn't want to throw the form on, which just looks kind of dangerous to everyone right now. But just draw the Dora, that'll fix your problems. Chun Dora, 2300, and just like that, Kenyon jumps up into first place.
Yes. So not much action going on. No big swings. Oh, but I just saw a flash of a Dora.
Dora pair here, but we'll go through it normally. Dealer has a pretty nice hand. Would really like to have something connect to the 3-4-4 shape or the 5 pin. Oh, that's a great draw. Off on the right, we have pretty standard pin food type shapes. Not quite seeing a Sanshuku, but could even just call for the Tanyao. Across the way, we have a bunch of Montiles, but really not everything's coming together. It looks a little slower than it should, but everything important is happening on the left as we have Chun Dora Onko, a very wide Ishan 10. My
Yeah,
goodness.
I am super excited to see that hand. Like I would be itching in my seat if I had that hand. I guess his biggest decision is whether or not he wants to reach his hand or to stay Dama for already guaranteed Mongon.
The question is, do you call something? Ooh, now even has that really awkward Cheetoy option. I don't think you'd take it even if you drew it, though.
Yeah, with such a wide Ishan 10 for a regular hand.
Nice 3-so fill in on the right, but the hand still looks cheap. Does open some calling potential, especially connect to that 5 pin.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if the other hands progress anymore. No one sees the Dora except for Eric, of course.
Oliver gets to a nice little Ishan 10. Of course, the 4 pin's a little hard, especially since we know those two on the left are never coming out. Could call for Tempai and does, waiting on the 3-6. Ooh, that's an interesting draw. Goes and takes the wider Ishan 10.
Okay, we'll see if anyone senses danger here. 3-6 doesn't look
There's
likely to come
no
out of anyone's hand.
indication. Yeah, there's no
Right.
indication of danger here. If you deal in, I think this is one usually. Okay, we deal in for 8,000. So be it.
That's true. And we are technically Ishan 10 for Oliver as the dealer here. Wants to pair up the 3-5 pin so that waiting on the Ramen. But
Yeah. So then you have the Pinfu as well.
yep.
Ooh, that's an awkward draw. Well, especially with that
Interesting.
2 pin being Furry 10, I don't like that play.
Yeah, exactly. It's
You're
not.
basically only keeping it around to pair the 1 up, but there are 2 of those already gone, plus the 1 in your hand, so it looks pretty bad. But in the meantime, we have a Ricci off on the right, Champone, but there's the Sumo of the 6-so for Chundora 3, and Eric jumps out into a big lead now.
Yeah, definitely the hand was gifted to him there, but it was definitely a good big hand for him. Hopefully he can maintain his
Look in the
lead there.
log, and you're going to say, I'm glad I didn't deal into that, because there's no way anyone should have suspected that. You're a little
Right.
curious where the Dora are, but you don't think someone's sitting on 3 of them like that. Anyway, moving on to East 3. Dealer has some disconnected shapes. Looks pretty slow, honestly. Off on the right, we have a whole bunch of pairs, including an Onko of 7-so, so maybe Toy Toy. I can also see Chontapaz, especially with the Dora draw now. Across the way, we have an East pair. Goes ahead and throws the Dora on turn 3. I think I would have just cut the Shaw there. And on the left, we have possible Hanitsu. Of course, you also have a Dora floater, so lots of options here. But the big thing is the Hatsu pair. Also now a Cheetoy.
Yeah, and we see Eric calling the East now Ishan 10 for cheap hand. Hopefully he can fill in 3-so. Otherwise he's going to be waiting on a bad weight.
Well, you can always draw the 5-so, which would give you an option, or that. Now you
That's
cut the
an improvement.
2-4, and that'll fix your problems.
Yep. Definitely the fastest hand that we see
Interesting
on the table.
option here on the 6-mon. You could call it and just go to Otozuke, or now you're Ishunten for Cheetoy, so that's the advantage. Oh, Oh, no, I hate that play. I think that is just a mistake. This
I
hand is so
also
slow.
beat Cheetoy.
Yeah, I think you just have to go for the Cheetoy. Yes, it's bad, especially as dealer. And I'll be the first person to say I hate Cheetoy, but I think you don't have a realistic path for the rest of this hand. So I'd have just limited my exposure by cutting maybe 6-pin earlier. Now what do you do? Because your shapes don't come together. Ends up cutting the other 2-mon. The Hatsu are kind of locked in this hand. You're hoping to call that maybe a distant toy, but if you're going to do that, you might as well go for the cheat toy. And there it is. But yeah, I probably ended up throwing the 6-pin and gotten the backfire, but that's the rule on cheat toy. It always backfires.
Yeah, and we got 4 pairs for Kenyon as well. Oh, a call from Gimmick here. I guess now
Yeah, I
trying
think
to.
Gimmick's going for the toy, but I just think it's so much faster to have not put yourself in this position in the first place. But hey, if you can start calling like this, that fixes a lot of your problems. The 4-pin actually looks very good in the wall right now.
Yeah, it's not even just Toy Shanten. He's also some
Senpai
Toy
off on the
Coco.
right with Ricci, Dora, possible Sananko. Takes the thinner weight, but it does add some other options.
Okay, and also Tenpai for Eric. Waiting on 4-7-pin here for 1,000 points.
3-pin is a great draw. Go ahead and play safe here. Understandable. But now that... and there's the 4. That would have been the sumo, and that's always the problem you face when you take the greedy weight here.
Yeah, and okay, no choice for Gimmick to which pair to discard. What's the safest discard
Interesting
here?
choice. I mean, obviously the Hatsu is probably the safest. The question is, do you just want to jam it? Throws the 5-mon, figuring the 6-mon has been called, and we're starting to see a bunch of 4s.
So we see one. There's still 1-2-pin in the wall, and that's it for Kenyon.
Fine, now for Eric, if he takes it, does not. Could have taken that 4. Oh, there's a 2, and it's Suji, so it very likely deals in. There it is. Ricci, Dora. That will be extra Fu. So you get the 50 Fu, 2 Han, 3,200 hand, plus, of course, the Ricci stick back. Now you move to East 4. So looking at these hands, the dealer has some shapes, but not much value. You have double Pinchon and Pin, which is kind of yuck. Possible shift to a 4-5-6 Sanshoku, but honestly, looks pretty bad. Off on the right, we have pretty standard Pinfu shapes, maybe a Tanya, but you also have that Pinchon 9-8 in So. Across the way, we have... I'm honestly not quite sure. There's so many. You'd love to turn this into a 6-7-8 Sanjaku, and especially with that 6-0 shift, you can now start thinking about it. Off on the left, we have a Haku Call. I'm not seeing too much value here, but you do have a Dora in here. Probably just a reasonably fast hand. Try and get your 2,000 and minimize your damage going into the South round.
Yeah. You could transition into Honitsu with that call if you draw the right tiles here. Otherwise, it's just going to be pretty low value. I mean, you do have a Dora, but the shapes are not there to support it yet.
Good draw by Kenyon. You can always go Tanya now. You're still not finding any value, though, and that's the problem with a hand like this, is you're throwing away your relatively safer tiles and most likely locking in your most dangerous shapes. See, now you have 3 pairs, and although in theory they're easy to call, are they really? Like, I guess the 8-pin would come out from Gimmick, but that's about it. The 2-mon could be used. The 8-mon, of course, is next to Dora, so it's a deceptively difficult hand. Okay, well, as I said, that's about the only person the 8-pin could come out from, and it very likely will pretty soon. Now you have to start thinking about Cheetoy as well, and does go ahead and cut the 2-4. But in the meantime, we have a Ricci by... Oh, and a Pursuit Ricci. Upgrading the weight, and that'll give you Ricci. Oh, there's the Ipatsu for Ricci. Ipatsu
a lot of big things happening.
Yeah, all of a sudden you had Oliver with a Tenpai, didn't declare Ricci, of course, with a bad shape, and shifts into a Pinfu. But the Ricci Nomi, just the first one out there, is enough to win the hand. And we move into south round now. Dealer has a very nice hand. Not seeing much value unless you manage to shift it into a Hanitsu. We could call the tune. Ooh, interesting call, and the Shaw passes it and is rewarded immediately. On the right, we have an Anko of Haku, and pretty good shapes of that. Maybe 5, 6, 7 Sanchuku, somewhere around there. Across the way, we have a completed shape in Pen, a hand that actually looks decent, especially with Adora, but is just slow compared to what we've seen so far. And off on the left, we have Ishanten for Chanta. No, it's not Ishanten. It is a Chanta type hand, Chanta Dora, but not quite there because there's no head.
Yeah, and we see Eric passing call on the Chun as well here. I guess figuring that they can stay closed and still manage to get into Tempai.
Now, that's a really nice shape, too. In the meantime, Kenyon now has an Ishanten, but it won't involve the Chanta now.
Yeah. Of course, can still, if they draw like the one mon, we can transition back into Chanta, but now the Chanta, yeah, exactly like you said, it's not going to be Chanta. But you do have a Dora, Reach Dora, still okay here.
Oh, yeah, you'd take it. Off on the right with Oliver, that's also Ishanten. Not much value either.
Yeah, we'll just have to see who gets into Tempai. I think we're just gonna get a drawing battle. If a tile comes out to Oliver, we'll see whether or not he decides to call either the 4-7 or the 3-6 pin.
Well, I think this Shun gets called because it's the last one. You take the three-sided weight. You're a little disappointed, but here we're probably going to have Ricci on the right. Ricci
All right.
Haku for 2,600. Of course, more on Sumo or Ipatsu. Ooh, good con here. Unfortunately, that one mon... Okay, goes ahead and throws it for now. The one mon is Genbutsu, but instead, because there was no con, Ricci, Ipatsu, Sumo, Haku. With the aura, and that's enough for a Mangan. The last door, it didn't matter, but hey, you'll take it anyway. A Sumo, especially on first place dealer turn, makes this within reach. You have Gimmick way in the back, but Oliver and Kenyon very close in second, and that closes the gap with Eric. We move into South 2. Dio has a very nice hand here. 3 completed shapes, a Rionman, and a couple good floaters. Off on the right, we have, well, a bunch of pairs. That's another one of those hands that looks better than it is, but it probably needs 2 2s or 2 5s in so to come together into anything useful if it doesn't go Cheetoy. Across the way, we have similarly some pairs, but those seem to be pretty much fixed in with the rest of the shape, so it's not as bad as it may seem initially. You have a bunch of wide shapes. You probably want to cut that 2-mon fairly early because you don't want it floating around any longer than you have to. On the left, we have, I think that's Ishanten, but it's a genuinely terrible one.
Yeah, and Oliver is actually a really good Ishan 10 himself. Ping Fu, good shapes all around. Just waiting to get fill in any of the shapes that he has currently.
Well, that fixes Eric's shapes a lot. Now you have the three-sided weight in Mon, so you're most likely going to end up Ricci Dora waiting on 7-pin.
Yeah, 7-pin could be useful for him. Ideally, he would draw the 7-pin himself, and then you'd have that nice Minchon wait. Oh, now it has to decide Penchon or Conchon, and of course, Penchon is worse, so
You
let's
can
get
go
rid of it.
that and go for the Conchon. In the meantime, we have Gimmick here, who very nicely draws into that last pair, so now could call another time and be Tempai for just Toy Toy. Of course, you like to draw it yourself and get that Sadanko Toy Toy, especially this far in last.
Yeah, we have
But in
Kenyan
the
reaching on
meantime, there's
Cheetoy.
Cheetoy for
Tanya
Ricci
Cheetoy.
Cheetoy Tanya. Well, those really awkward things. Do you push Dora on the Apatsu turn? Yes, you do. Ricci, Pinfu, waiting on 3-6 so. Of course, we see the 3-3 so that have been called. There's one in Eric's hand. So the 6 so, there are 2 left in the wall.
Yeah. And now the 7-mon is Suji to both Kenyan and Oliver. So we might see someone deal into Kenyan here.
I
If
don't
they
think
run
I'm
out of save
trusting
tiles.
Suji at this point. Ooh, and that
Oh,
gives Gimmick an option. I think you just have to push the 5, especially in last place. Now, Tempai for Toy Toy waiting on 9-pin 4, so of course Sumo would be Sananko. And that 9 pin in Eric's hand is looking really bad. But first, we have the Sumo, Ricci Sumo, Chitoi Tanyao. No aura, but it is enough to get Kenyon into first place going into South 3.
Wow, that was a really good hand by her. Now she takes the lead in the Hanshan.
And in South 3, Dio has a pretty good hand here. A bunch of completed shapes. The Penchon in Mons have been annoying, but other than that, you're feeling good, pretty good about this hand. Off the right, we see 2 Dora, possible Itsu in Mon. Across the way, we have maybe a 1-2-3 Sanchiku, but honestly looks pretty far away. And on the left, we have possible 1-2-3 Sanchiku as well. But man, that pin shape is terrible. The 1-2-4-8-9.
Yeah, so many bad shapes there. Kenyon is the most person with the most potential value with 2 Dora in their hand. We'll see how they progress. And now could call for Itsu or just stay with the hand that they currently have. They don't have to force the Itsu here.
To force it. If the 9 comes, I think you just call it, even though you don't necessarily know where your other. Oh, well, see, here you go. I just instantly call this. Cut the chute, and then basically any tile in pin puts you Tempai for Itsu Dora 2 or even Dora 3.
Yeah, exactly. 3,900 is nothing to scoff at. Especially
Well,
super
especially,
fast.
you're in the lead in South 3, another 3,900, and really only one person has a chance of catching you.
Exactly. Meanwhile, everyone's else's hand is a bit slow. I guess our dealer over here, if they can find a good pair, then they'll have good shapes
Dealer
all
really
around.
wants to pair up the 2 Mon or 8 Mon. Then it really comes together. Ooh, interesting choice. Do you wait on the Dora? Do you wait on the Tonki? Waits on the
Ooh,
Dora. Aggressive, but very flexible later. I completely understand it.
yeah.
And of course, if you sumo it, you basically lock up first overall.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed manga now for her.
I think you just switch right here. This seems like a perfectly fine wait, and does. Waiting on the Haku Tonki for Itsudora.
Okay, we see Oliver now Ishan 10, but potential Ipeko waiting on the 8-mon or the 1-4 to.
Gimmick goes in and throws the 3. Doesn't look that good initially, but when you look at what's been discarded, I think it just comes out. And there it is. Deals into Kenyon for that Itsudora, 2,000. And we move on to South 4.
Yeah, that was unfortunate draw by Gimmick.
Nice initial draw there for Kenyon. Pulls in the 7 so on the first draw. And now it's a beautiful hand. No value to speak of, but you'll take that any time. Off on the right, we have pretty good shapes, but really needs a couple 5-so or 8-so to pull that shape in so together. Crossway of a beautiful hand. Now developing for Honitsu, Shaw, Tone. So probably just Mongun, but that gets you over 30K, and that's what you're looking for. And of course, Sumo would overtake Eric for second place. And on the left, well, now I have some extra door. I have a lot of options here. Maybe also thinking Chitoi, but leaves plenty of choices going forward. You'd really like to add the 3-4-5 Sanchoku or the 4-5-6 Sanchoku, but you'd need a shift either way for that to happen.
And Oliver just drew the third south, south drawing into his hand. Definitely has a close. Menzen Honitsu.
Richi Honitsu double Yakuhai is Hanemon.
It's not enough to overtake Kenyon.
It would be on a sumo, but not on a roan.
Okay, that's definitely something that he's definitely would aim for.
In the meantime, we have Tempai for Kenyon. Pinfu waiting on 5-8 so. There aren't that many that have been discarded. We see one in the pond, one in the hand, and 1 5-so in each of the hands on the left and right. So still 4 in the wall.
Yeah, we'll probably see Oliver pushing all of this hand, probably because he's Ishan Trevor such a big hand.
I don't think you can fold here, even if you want to, even if you feel it's a safe thing to do. There's just too much here.
Yeah, we also see Gimmick taking a more relaxed approach as well for folding here because he has door 2. Good I guess it's not Ishan 10, it's Yanshan 10.
Well, that draw helps immensely.
Yeah, now Ishan 10.
Perfect Ishan 10 with even more extended because of the 147, although the 1-so is kind of dying now.
Okay, there's 4 left in the wall for Kenyon's weight.
And now the 1-so is completely dead, so it's only a 2-sided weight, not a Senmenchan.
Yeah, I don't think this door is coming out of Eric's hand either.
There's the backfire on the north draw, so would have been facing a 4. Uh-oh, I think this just comes out. Okay, takes the
Good
turn of
dodge.
safety for now. Just figuring there just aren't many Suji left at this point. Maybe forced to throw it eventually, like here. Because is that Tempai?
It is
Yes,
Tempai for
that's
3
Tempai. It's ugly. But I think you just have to deal in there. Richi, Pinfu. No Aura, so not punished that badly. You're still not really in range of falling to last, and to play to get to 30,000 and potentially even win the hand. But oh my goodness, we go into the first Honba in South 4. Dealer starts with a Yaku Hayonko, maybe even a Honitsu. Lots of options here. Speaking of Honitsu, that looks like a Chinitsu off on the right with a 1 1 2 2 3 4 5 8 in So. I see the call there by Kenyon of the 1 Mon. Plenty of options. Could always go Toy Toy. Could go Cheap Hand. But you'd really like that Honitsu. Across the way, distant 7, 8, 9 Sanshoku. Another one of those hands where it looks close, but you need some draws to really pull it together. On the left, we have. Ooh, that looks really nice. But just looking at what you're facing on the rest of the table, it doesn't look nearly as good as it should.
Yeah, but if they get a Mongon Sumo, I think they do overtake third place here with the home.
Big option
Not
for Kenyon
close
here.
because they need a reach.
Kenyon does throw the 9 Mon, takes the cheap Tempai. Do we get a stream freeze or just.
Yeah, I also have a stream freeze on my end. Okay, we're back.
We're
Business
back.
here.
Oh,
Oh.
it's flashing a lot. Okay, I think we're back now. Oh, it's still flashing.
Okay, well, Kenyon decides not to take the Tempai afterwards and discard after drawing the South, and now discarding the Tuso.
Well, when you do that, of course, you're looking for the Dora pair up. You don't really want to throw live Dora. That is how you get in trouble with a hand like this. Is if someone calls the Dora Yakuha, you can definitely end up losing. But Gimmick says, I don't need it. This hand, I already know where the value is coming for this hand. It's going to be Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya. You'd like the Sun Scoop, you're not seeing it. In the meantime, Kenyon says, I'll just drop myself then, thanks. So this will be Tone, Honitsu,
Oh no.
Dora 2. And
Oh
deals
no.
in, and Gimmick is going to be down near 0 now. Tone,
Big hand.
Honitsu, Dora 2. No, that's not it. We're not done yet.
Yep.
You don't
Keeps
have a
going.
Gariyame on, so Kenyon's going to keep running the score up now with 57,000. And the interesting thing to watch here is whether she can knock Eric down below 30K and get that extra 5 UMA.
We'll probably have to see a deal in for that to happen.
I don't
Kenyon.
know. When you see a nice little Chitoy Dora 2 like this, maybe not. Pairs everywhere and then a floating Dora. Now
There's another
Ishan
one.
10 for Chitoy Dora 2. Off on the right, we have Pinfu, possible Itsu shape in Pin, maybe a 3-4-5 Sun Scoop. It gets rid of the 3 now. Across the way, we have pretty standard Pinfu type shape. Ooh, interesting choice by Kenyon to call the South. I would not have done that. And
Yeah.
on the left, we have Yuck. I don't think there's anything salvaging that. Now, the advantage of the call here is you figure the 9's probably easy to call, and if the 9 comes out, the 7 may also come out. The 1's pretty easy to call, so it's at least understandable. But I think there's just so much value in the Cheeto, you just go for it.
Yeah, it's not even the last South that came out, so there's a lot of potential there with Chitoy Dora 2. Of course, she doesn't need points. She can.
Yeah, there's your 1 pin, and the feeling of regret.
She is the fastest hand, it seems like, at the table. We do have an Ishan 10 by Oliver here. Just either pairing the 2-so or getting the 4-7 pin.
Yeah, just selling out for the toy. And at this point, that's probably what you have to do unless someone calls Ricci. Then you take the wider weight. maybe in Mon. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, Eric's hand's coming together pretty nicely. That's, I
Yeah.
believe, Ishan 10 for Ipeko. Is there an Itsu in there? I don't quite see it yet. Yeah,
It's a
it's in
possible
there.
Ipiko. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But easy call here for Kenyon. Just take the Tempai here, waiting on the one so. Who's going to keep one so, especially if we're starting to see all the two pour out? There are two in the wall, and it probably comes out the instant anyone draws it. I don't see anyone holding on to it.
Well, it is suspicious that the dealer's 3 calls already in the second row. It's probably people are probably aware that she's at least better, Ishan 10 or better. You wouldn't
Right.
really call this.
Especially having thrown the door, you think it's very likely a toy. And we see the deal in of people at this table, and there are three. Oh, well, just sumo it. That's the easy answer. And with that, it's 2,600 all plus the Homba, and now over 66,000 in South for 3. But this hand probably ends it because this hand is pretty bad. Maybe a 1-2-3 Sanchoku, but honestly, yuck. On the right, we have a pair of South, which is, of course, the double win for Eric, and pretty nice shape in pin. I think that's probably pretty fast. Across the way, we have probable Honitsu, including a Tonanko, and pretty nice shapes in So. And on the left, we have a distant Itsu, Dora, but it just looks slow compared to everything else other than the dealer, whose hand still looks terrible. Does manage to work it into a Ryan Shanten, but interesting options for Itsu now. Would still need the 379 in pin, but you can actually see some value here.
Yeah. Eric ended up drawing the third South by himself, so now he's Ishan 10 for double non, and decides to call right away.
Says, I've had enough of this. I'll take my over 30K, and comes out immediately for double non, the 3 Homba 2,900. And with that, Kenyon dominates this table with a plus 51.1. Eric escapes with plus 12.1. Oliver at minus 16.2. And Gimmick at minus 47.
Yeah, and this actually put the standings really close together because Gimmick was at the top of the leaderboard before and just took a massive 4th place here. And Kenyon was at the near the bottom of the leaderboard, and now with that 1st place, jumps up already half to 7th place.
Yeah, Gimmick and Steve absolutely demolished their table in the first session. And with this, now you have Gimmick falling back under Steve, Eric kind of stably climbing, Oliver sitting in that big mass at -1, including Lucas and, well, me, and Kenyon basically trying to escape the damage and positions herself in a relatively safe place for now, but it's still, we're 5 games out of 24.
Yeah, and here we see the standings for all of our leagues. We have, as you see on the top left, that's our A1 league. If you see Gimmick, who's in 2nd place right now at 51.7. And as you mentioned, Steve was able to take that 1st place spot after Gimmick dropped down. And yeah, we have the rest of the standings here. Won't go into too much detail here since we're not focusing on the A1, or we're only focusing on the A1 today. But these are progressing as, even if we don't have streams every day, we're playing games pretty much daily. So these standings, you can always check the website at AmericanReachy.org to see the most up-to-date standings.
Yeah, look at Minko there in A2, really having a stranglehold in A2, looking for that big promotion to A1.
Yeah, so it seems like the next game is happening shortly, and we'll see if Kenyon can keep up the 1st place streak.
Well, there you go. As we start game 2 here, we're only probably playing these 2 games today, but look at these hands. Dealer has a few pairs. Would like to pair up one of those Yakuhai and start calling because this looks fairly slow closed. Off on the right, we have possible 1-2-3 Sanchoku, distant Itsu in pin. Also looks pretty slow. Across the way, we have pretty standard pin foo shapes, but again, you have that Penchon in Mons. It looks pretty slow. And on the left, you have pretty standard pinfu shapes as well, but you also have a 1-2 penchant. So honestly, you have four hands that look pretty slow here. And I'm not seeing much value in any of them.
Yeah, no other good shapes, but Eric does have two Dora in hand. If he can get somehow filled in the penchant, just as I gonna mention it, and he does. Now this hand gets a lot better here. Always gonna get a good weight because the West is. Well, I guess there's only one West left, but still can potentially wait on the West.
Right.
If
Of
they
course, if you
choose to.
draw in the upper so, you're kind of disgusted, but you'll still take the Ricci Pin Fudora. What you'd really like to draw is like 6 mon.
Yeah, that would be disgustingly good.
Well, that Sanshiku off on the right is starting to come together, and Oliver seems to be locking it in. I believe that's Ishan 10 now. Yes, it is.
Ooh, and we see a call from Kenyon. Just Tanya.
Says, yeah, I'm not seeing any value here. I do have this Dora floater if I get the option. If I get Tempai, I'll take it. Otherwise, this is fine. I like the call here. It just looks so bad closed.
Yeah, you can maybe she can tell the other players are not that fast as well, and you do keep the north.
Interesting. We have a Ricci Tempai waiting on Shaw and 5 mon Dora for Eric. That's a really rough wait because I don't think anyone's going to be concerned about Shaw. The only issue is there's only one in the wall. So you'd be talking a one out west, and you're just not thinking that's dangerous. I think yeah, throw the 7. So here,
I mean,
but
it's tough to
well,
push into this reach. I think when you don't see any Dora here.
yeah. Well, the other problem is you don't really have the hand to push because you're going to have to push Dora or Dora Suji at minimum, and probably both.
Yep. Oh, and we see a tempi by Gimmick here. It's just a
Waiting on
5 mon wait.
Dora. Yeah, just Ricci Dora, waiting on Dora. And as we're seeing, there's only one in the wall. And of course, Eric wants it as well. So you'd have to draw it yourself. There's no way it comes out for either of the others, especially now as Oliver starts folding. Gives up the Sanjuku Dream, figuring the 8 so isn't that good into 2 Ricci's. Oh, okay. Well, just sumo it. Ricci's Sumo Dora. And the aura, and just like that, Gimmick's out in first with a big hand in East 1.
Yes, definitely relieved to finally win a hand, big hand at that. After that first Hanshan.
Well, that'll make you feel better after that first game. And speaking of feeling better, look at this little hand here. Bunch of completed shapes, not quite Ishan 10, but other than the 2-pin, 8-pin pair, that's a great hand. You also have that Dora. So you're feeling pretty good as dealer with that hand. Off on the right, we have a Haku pair, distant 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku. It's one of those that would be decent if we didn't see what the dealer had here. Across the way, probable Honitsu, maybe even Chinitsu. You also have a 1-2-2 in Mon, but I think you just cut it here, especially that great 7-so draw. And off on the left, we have very nice Ricci Pinfu Tanyao Dora type shape. Is that Ishanten? Yeah, that's Ishanten. Well, not going to be Tanya now, but Ishanten for Ricci Pinfu Dora. Very nice
Yeah,
hand.
really nice draws by her. She filled in one of the Kanchans. That basically enabled this hand to be such a monster that it is. And now
Interesting
we
option
see,
for Gimmick. Do you go for the Honitsu and says, well, maybe. We'll see what happens afterwards.
yeah, Eric is already committed to the Sozu Honitsu, now only having
Interesting option for Kenyon here. What do you cut? Goes with the Karagiri 6-pin. I don't think I would have done that. I might have cut the 2-3, but goes ahead and takes the widest weight, even though it won't be the most expensive. May also be a little concerned that those so are being used across the way. And now with the 2-5 pin, 2-5 so call, that 3-4 is kind of looking stuck.
Yeah, interesting decisions by Eric because these calls don't really progress the hand that fast. Much faster than he already had. He's
I think
still
what
stuck with
Kenyon's
bad
thinking
shapes.
is now there are only 2 outs left. So just decides to Dama here with a pin Fudora because the 2-5 so just looks absolutely terrible. And again, this is why what you'd have to think about when you make that call. Ooh, a nice fill in for Gimmick. As now Ishan 10, but that will keep the 2 and not having to throw anything in lower so. That's a huge draw.
Yeah, I think people looking at Eric's hand is gonna be quite scared to throw any Sozu here. No one has drawn any. Okay, yeah, no one has drawn any
Just
overflow
instantly
Sozu, so we
reaching
haven't seen.
this. You could Dama, since there are only 3 outs left, but and does for the Tanyao Pinfudora. Like, I can see this Dama. I mean, I'm just going to hit the button, but that's kind of my rule. Ooh, and this is kind of the problem, is you draw the 7, so what do you do? And says, okay, well, if I'm going to have to jab it, I might as well hit the button, because everyone knows I'm Tempai.
Right, the Forza did come out, so it's technically Suji to Eric if he was Tenpai, so it's a little safer than something that was Musuji, but
Well, I wouldn't think so
oh,
because of the 5 so call. You're very likely to have exactly what this hand is, which is a gigantic mess in upper so.
right. I mean, that is true. But you can also call like at the five pin if you 5 side, even if you had all the other 3 5 depending on what the hand looked like, right?
Gimmick's in a situation where the hand's going to be hard to play. But in the meantime, we have Tempai off on the left, and the 8 pin looks really, really bad. Do you just reach on Dora? I mean, it always feels bad to do that. Instead, just folds. Oh no! The 1 pin Ricci would have been Ipatsu.
Unfortunate here. Decided to throw away this hand in order for to stay safe here. I think she had enough value there to chase.
Well, that gets Tempai for Eric, waiting on that last 2 so, which we know is
Oh,
locked up at this point.
okay. Kenyan had another option to stay to take the Tempai again, but decides not to. Decides that 1 pin is just way too dangerous to push.
And Gimmick says, well, I see all the 2 so I don't think so. And here's the 3 Mon, and yeah, now I can certainly see the fold.
Oh, 1 pin comes out of Gimmick's hand. Doesn't deal in. We have Tempai for Eric as well for 2 so now we have 2 people Tempai, 1500 to both of them, Oliver and Eric. And we keep going for Oliver's dealership.
Yes, for an East 2-1, dealer starts with a decent hand. You'd really like to fill in that 6 Mon Conchon, but you're not seeing much value here unless you draw Dora. Off on the right, we have very nice Pinfu Tanyao Sanjuku with the 6-7-8. Across the way, we have the Ryankon in Pin with a Dora, possible 5-6-7 Sanjuku. And on the left, we have possible Itsu in Mon. And other than that, Kanchan and Penchon Hell. It's one of those hands where a couple draws and it's immediately great, but right now it's just not there. And speaking of Dora, there's another one across the way as Eric pulls in a second one.
Yeah, look, people's hands kind of they're just relying on really good draws here. I don't see anyone calling in the near future.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying the hands are all bad.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. I think Eric could
Well, yeah,
think
now I
about
think you cut either the 1 so or the 9 pin pair, and you're thinking, well, I just call for the Tanya Dora too. That'd be great.
exactly. Force his hand to be a lot faster than it is, and it doesn't even cheapen the hand because he the 2 Dora. Ooh, filling Conchon by Kenyon here. That's what she needs. She needs to fill in all these bad shapes in order to make this hand worth it.
Or now you have some flexibility. Do you cut the 8-9 and say maybe we just call for Tanyao? That seems to be the route that's being pursued. Interesting option here for Oliver. Do you want to go the toy route? In the meantime, Eric says, forget this. I'm going Tanyao.
Hmm. So interesting choice to call the 7 on there because it was one of his better weights to keep.
Nah, I like it. It makes the 4-mon, puts a lot of pressure on the 4-mon. And of course, if you call Dora or draw Dora, you're perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, we'll see if the 4 mon is more likely to come out here.
Well, now you're Ishan 10 for that Dora 2, and of course the third Dora you could always draw. But in the meantime, we have Tempai up on the left for Ricci, Pinfu, possible Dora. And Oliver says, I'm going to fight back against this at least as much as I can, calling the Tuso and taking Ishanten for possible Tanya Dora, maybe with some extra draws. You get, oh, okay, Tempai now. You're instantly calling that for Tanya Dora, at least if you draw the 7-pin. But in the meantime, Kenyon draws for Richi Sumo Pinfu. No aura, but does close it and gets closer to that 30,000 threshold.
Yeah, we started earlier that she needed to, fill in the Conchon's bad shapes in order to win that hand, and she actually was able to get rid of both of them and win that hand.
And we move on to East 3 and Dealer's Hand. Well, we complain about Conchons. What about that? I see, 4 of them in that hand. Off on the right, we have pretty nice shapes in Pin, but other than that, not much. Across the way, we have a distant Daisongen, probably Honitsu in Mon, maybe Chitoi now, or Toy Toy. And off on the left, we have pretty nice shapes altogether. You do have that floating Dora, but without that, I'm not seeing too much value.
Yeah, I guess we also see again how the hand progresses. I mean, so now this is the 4th pair for Gimmick here. I would just look for
Got one
Chitoy here.
so. Yeah, the one so doesn't do anything in the hand, so you might as well cut it now. It gives you the most options for the hand to progress.
Exactly.
Well, I think Kenyon has to start going cheat toy or toy toy now.
Yeah, probably not going to go for Honeysu there, but yes, I agree. Chitoy, Toy Toy. I mean, could just go for Cheap Hand, but with the shapes that she has, it's
Kind of sick if you ended up for only Hatsu with that hand.
yeah.
And you call it, and I'd cut the 8-9.
Maybe 3-month's okay because if you draw Dora, then it's like a little bit better. It feels a little bad. Okay.
Ooh, no, I don't like that at all. That is going to be your widest shape, but your worst value. If you're at like 36,700, I could see it, but you're barely in second. So ends up Tempai going to be waiting not on Dora. It takes the absolute cheapest shape and it comes right out. So, okay, well, that's one way to do it. You take the 1,000-point hand, manages to pick the correct weight, and that's enough to move us to East 4.
No, I was not expecting that, honestly. That was a really quick win by Kenyon.
Pick the correct weight every time. We look at these hands. Dealer has, well, we'll get to that in a bit, but Dealer has decent shape, especially in pin, probably just a pin food type hand off on the right. Disconnected shapes, especially in so, but a couple draws there. You might be able to make something from it. Also, maybe cheat toy. But in the meantime, the big hand is across the way. Just looks like Chanta and then either Tone, Hatsu, or potentially even both. I honestly don't see a way, unless the hand on the left finishes, which is Ishanten, that hand doesn't finish. But speaking of the hand on the left, it is I don't like that 5-pin cut. Goes back in Shanten as a result. Uh, you have the 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 shape, but I'm not seeing where the progression is. I'd rather keep the pair and just take the Ishanten. If you're not going to take the Tempai with, say, the 8-mon Conchon, you might as well have just cut the 9 earlier. Of course, you don't know, but it put Oliver into Tempai.
Right, exactly. I also agree. Just take the Yushan 10 there. No reason not to. You can still get, if you are able to fill in that Conchan, you still get to wait on a good wait. And we still see,
Yeah,
Tunes
this
getting
is.
discard, One Pin's getting discard. So no one's really afraid of Oliver's hand yet. I guess it's only 2 calls.
And there you have the 8-mon fill in. So if you'd have taken the 5, 5, 7 or 3, 5, 5, you'd be Tempai, Ricci waiting on 1 so 4 so Dora. Instead, you have a really awkward shape you're not quite sure what to do with.
Right, immediately punished in this hand for not playing just tile efficiency.
Interesting option by Oliver. A sumo would be a whole bunch of foo. I think that kicks it to 50, actually. Because you get the 8, the 8, the 2. Well, I guess it depends on which one. You have the 4, so lots of potential value. Just really awkward shape. But of course, the Hatsu's floating around in Kenyon's hand. and maybe a little concerned about it, but throws the Shaw for now, so a decent chance it comes out pretty soon. In the
Yeah.
meantime, Gimmick fills in that Ishanten and is now back Tempai on the 1-4 so.
Yeah, so unfortunately, two of the ones those got discarded. Oh, well,
Oh, there's the Apatsu, Ricci Apatsu.
Matsu.
No aura, but does pick up the 2600 and gets the Ricci stick back. And we move into South Round, and Dealer has pretty standard Pinfu shapes. You'd love a 5-6-7 Sanchiku. You also have a couple extra floaters. And with the East dying off that quickly, is thrown in the middle. Off on the right, you have some pairs, some very flexible shapes in pin. You're not figuring you're going to end up on a 4-pin pair and 7-pin pair. One of those is going to turn into Ryanman. Across the way, we have really good shape in pin and decent shape in so, but you really want the 6 so to really pull it together. On the left, we have, great draw there with the 2-pin. Ricci, Pinfu, Dora. Not seeing Sanchiku, although you could shift to a 2-3-4.
Yeah. And looking at, we just hit South 1. Looking at the points we see, Gimmick is in the lead by quite a bit, but second, third, and fourth are like really close together right now. No one's falling behind like last Hanchan, so we'll see how that dynamic changes here.
Getting a whole bunch of pairs here for Kenyon and keeps the option open for now. I don't know. I kind of just want to go Tanya with this, even with the 1-mon pair. Well, it doesn't matter now. You're going Cheetor or the Electrodrike on the 5-6.
Yeah, and Oliver actually had a similar decision to make if he wanted to go Chitoy and decided to discard the 2 7-pins and then ended up pairing up the Hatsu. So we'll see if he now decides to go to Chitoy or maybe he's trying to look for Honitsu instead.
Well, Eric sitting here with that Ishanten would really love to draw the 7 so, but we can tell they're completely dead. So may end up in some big trouble going forward.
Yeah, okay. So we see Kenyon discarding all the middle tiles here. Definitely has a signal that her hand is
Good draw there
abnormal
with the
here.
3-pin. Now you can wait on the Suji 2-pin for the Peiko as well.
There,
Or just draw it yourself. Ricci, Pinfui, Peiko, Dora. Waiting on 2-5 so. We see 2 of the discards and 1 in Gimmick's hand, and 1 as the Dora indicates. There are 4 in the wall. And of course, you see Kenyon here sitting in Ishanten for Chitoy. Oh, there's a 2 so. But Gimmick looks to be folding at this point.
Yeah, it seems like a white decision as he's in the lead right now. No need to fight.
Kenyon decides not to trust the 2-pin, just throws the relatively safe Dora. I probably would have kept that around. Maybe gotten a little greedier. Uh-oh, I think Tuso comes out here, and it does. Oliver decides to push for the Honitsu, which is certainly understandable, but ends up dealing into the Mongon. And just like that, Eric is now right up in second place, but close to first. We're starting to see some real separation between first, second, third, and fourth.
Ooh, what a hand.
Well, yes and no. I'm not sure if I like this. That's kind of the problem. Gives up the Shosushi on turn 1, figuring even Honitsu may be a stretch here. Looking probably for the tone and then maybe some Dora, but lots of options. Hatsu's Dora. Off on the right, we have, now that's a good draw. Fills in the pin shape. Also has a distant Daisangan with a pair of Haku, but just lone Hatsu Chun and a 2-4-6 in so. Across the way, we have a south pair, which is, of course, Yakuhai. It discarded the not called, but other than that, the hand doesn't look all that great. Throws the door on turn 3. On the left, that 7-mon really fits into this shape, but the so could use some work. Mon looks very nice. You have possible Itsu, but so doesn't look so good. You'd really like to draw the 4-mon, or that 1-mon will do it. Now you're definitely thinking Itsu.
Yeah. I wonder what Eric's plan is. He decides not to call either of the Sal's and then discarding the Dora. It indicates to me that I don't know how he's planning on like getting any value or winning this hand at all.
Almost has to be like 3, 4, 5 Sanshoku, but I'd have just called earlier. I think you have to call the 3 here. Gets rid of the Dora, figuring it's being hoarded, and as we can see, it is. One's discarded, the other one's going to be completely locked in Gimmick's hand. He says, okay, fine, gives it up. And just like that, we have Ishanten for Oliver. No real value to speak of, but would keep that dealer. Oh, and there's the backfire for Gimmick, drawing the last Hatsu in the wall. Ooh, speaking of Itsu on the left, we're now Ishanten for that. Waiting for the Formon. Of course, you have the perfect Ishanten with the 66799. So all sorts of options here. And of course, that's the type of hand that pulls you back into a fight for first place if you can finish it.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely wants to draw that Formon. Oh, here it is. There's the
Doesn't
Tenpai for
get
the
the
Ichi.
Pinfu, but you'll definitely take the Ricci here. And if you draw the 7, you're just kind of disgusted. But it would be Ricci Sumo. Of course, if you draw the 4 Mon, Ricci Sumo Itsu, and you're fighting for first place. Oh, well, Chris
Oh
just
my
hit the
gosh.
Ipatsumo on the expensive end. Ricci, Ipatsu, Sumo Itsu. Have the Aura and the Aura, and just like that, Ginyon's in first place. And Oliver takes the deep last going into South 3. That's
What a
really
swing.
rough.
Yeah, again, that takes her to first place. Back where she was in the first Hanchan too. So see if she can maintain it against Gimmick, who is second place in dealer. And now we have 3 people above 30,000. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Eric, of course, being last year, you don't feel good about that when you're right on that 30K border. But in the meantime, we have And by Gimmick, which is pretty nice. You have possible Itsu in So, you have a Haku pair, you have a Dora. Could even call this 4 So, but that would give up the Itsu possibilities. Besides to pass, on the right, we have pretty standard Pinfu shape, maybe 1, 2, 3 Sunshoku. Across the way, we have Pinfu type shape, except for an awkward 3, 5, 7, 9, and so maybe an Itsu backdoor. And on the left, we have a Hatsu pair and a few other pairs, 4 total. So maybe Chitoi, maybe Toy Toy, not the type of hand you're looking for when you're sitting at 12,000 in South 3 and third place at 32.7.
Yeah, you're probably just looking to, I don't know, try to get as many points as you can in the league. You're probably not aiming for third place here.
What you really want to do is you want to drag someone down under 30K so you only have to pay the minus 15 as opposed to the minus 20.
Right. Here we have Ijanten for Kenyan, but it's guaranteed not to be a good weight if she hits Tenpai right now, waiting on the 4 So or the 8 So. So, and there's no value, and it's really hard to play that hand as first place. You don't really want to put yourself in danger of dropping down. I don't suspect we'll see a reach if she hits Tenpai.
Ooh, interesting here for Gimmick. Pulls in the 4 pin. Would be Tempai on a whole lot of things, but in the meantime, we have Tempai off on the right for Ricci only, waiting on 5 pin, 6 pin. Really awkward shape. Could call here. Yeah, it does decide to call. Cuts the 3 So. I guess the 3 is safe. I'm not. If you're gonna that's going to be the problem. Is if you call the throw the 3, you're going to have to throw the 2 now. And when you see 6 So, 3 So, the 2 all of a sudden looks pretty scary.
Oh,
Oh, but we
it
do
hits
have
Tenpai
Tempai
here.
here. Now, which weight do you want? The 6 pin? Okay, weights on the 6 pin. There is only one of those in the wall, but of course, the 5 pin, there's one in the wall of those two. And oof, that 2 kind of hurts, but you'd be 4E10, so you're fine with it. And of course, we know the 5 would deal in.
Right. And we know the 3 pin was safe to dealer or to Eric the reach, so
Right.
probably opting for that as well. Oh,
Ooh, I think you cut the 7. Like, you don't want to con this necessarily.
here, it's tough. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Goes ahead and cons. I guess I can see it, especially since you're not in first place. It might make the 6 look a little safer now. But instead, all it ends up doing is giving people more incentive to keep throwing the 3, 2, 1.
I mean, now he has a Mongon Tenpai. Now it's hard to ever get out of this Tenpai.
Oh yeah, the two Dora and cons for another Dora. Okay, I definitely see
Okay.
it now.
Okay. Reach by Oliver. Waiting
But the
on
5-8 looks
5-8
really
pin.
bad. We see 1-5 left and 1-8 left. Because so many of those weights are locked in Eric's hand right now.
This is probably the sumo
Well, that's a
by
way to
Oliver.
close the gap. Need some Ora here, but Richi Sumo Hatsu Dora. And just like that, Oliver's at 21,000. And as mentioned earlier, it's very important to pull Eric below 30,000. And I mean, you're within striking range of third now. And of course, Hanemon would get you all the way to second. But in the meantime, Eric has a very nice starting hand. May just be a Bakahone, but you'd really like to get that Chitoy. You'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, ooh. May even close Honitsu now. That's a beautiful hand. I just threw in the 7 Mon. But anyway, off on the right, we have nice little Anko of 5 pin. Awkward shapes in So, but fill in a couple of penchons and you'd be good. Across the way, have a Chun pair. Really nice shapes in Mond with a 3-4 and then 8-9-9-9. And on the left, we have Adora. Pretty standard Pinfu type shapes. Really like to draw the 8 Mon to fill that hand in.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to keep our eyes on Eric's hand and see. This is definitely a hand that will take him to first place. We can.
Oliver calls the Chun and is selling out for the Honitsu, which makes sense when you look at the rest of the value here. Everything's easy to call in Mon. You can call 7-2-5 in Mon, and you definitely don't call that, especially if Eric says, sure, I'll take it. Interesting how you're going to get value from this, but may not even want any extra value. May just be going for the full Bakahone, as mentioned earlier. That is Ishan 10, would need a 6 so and a 3 so or a 9 so. You have the 4, 5, 7, 8 so and they're kind of hard to put together, but if you can pull it in, you'll get the hand. They just now you've used well, okay, just draw the fourth 9 so, and if you get a weight improvement, you can con.
Definitely possible that we see it, but because right now the value is only 200 here.
Yeah, 2,900 would push you over 30K and actually into second place, so I certainly see it. Waiting
Yeah.
on 3, 6 so. Of course, we only see 3 of them combined in the hand, so there are 5 in the wall.
Okay. This is close. Ishan 10 for gimmick here. Hoping to draw that 3-month.
Big
But
of
okay.
Ishan 10, we have one for Oliver as well.
Okay, everyone's hand's getting close now.
Ooh, beautiful hand. Oh, there's the 3 so. And Oliver deals in for the 2,900. The Bakahone is what the hand comes to. But with that, Eric not only gets back over 30K, but all the way into second place and wakes up with a much better callable hand with the East pair, a North pair, maybe a Dora. So you're feeling a lot better about your situation now. On the right, we have pretty standard pin food type shapes. We do have that Ryoncon 468 in Mon you'd like to fill in with the 4 Mondora. Across the way, we have 2 Dora, an East pair. Probably just Riti with Dora 2. I mean, there's a distant Honitsu, but I don't think you even want it. On the left, we have, well, yuck. Kanchan, Penchon, Kanchan, Penchon, Kanchan, Penchon floating off.
Yeah, not what you want to see when you're so close to overtaking someone in second to first place. Not
Ooh,
really the hand
nice
you want.
little Ishan 10 now for Oliver. Maybe
Yep.
even Suonko possibilities.
Yes, gotta dream the dream here,
Of
but
course, we know the 4 Mon is completely dead, but and the East would also be completely dead. So you don't actually want to go that route. And unfortunately, that may be the end wait here, is I don't see how you get away from it, honestly.
well, it might be hard for Eric to fold without destroying the East. Depends what the tiles are. But East is one of the safer tiles he does have in his hand. So Reach does come out.
Would throw the East pair here. Yeah, I go for the Tanyao option. I can certainly agree with that. But in the meantime, that gives Eric a Yakuhai. He says, thank you, I've been waiting for that. In the meantime, we have an Ishan 10 off on the right as Kenyon is now looking for the 5 mon particularly.
See if he.
Uh-oh, but that extra 3-pin floating around for Kenyon could be trouble later.
Yeah, it's tough. She doesn't really know that three pin is dangerous to Eric, but so that's why she's keeping it around for a
I have to
potential
suspect an
Ipeko.
interesting option here for Gimmick. Goes all out on the Chi Toy. Well, that upgrades it to a Ryoncon now for Kenyon. We have a lot of hands that are just really close to being good, but aren't quite there yet. Oh, and that 5's so tempting, but you can't call it because you don't have a Yaku.
Yeah, can't just depend on the drawing the 4-pin because you need that. That 1 pin is probably stuck in your hand until you draw it.
Big upgrade for Oliver. Now a 2-sided potential weight with 3 6-pin. Of course, the 6-pin, there are 2 discard, and the other 2 are probably deadlocked in Gimmick's hand at this point.
Is that enough to make a dent? I mean, you'll definitely take the Tenpai and reach on it. Tanya door 2, Ping Fu.
Oh, that's an annoying draw with a 5 mon.
And now it's getting late. Now it's third row discards, and people's hands are
I
still
mean,
not filling in.
this may be it. We may not see anything for the rest of this hand, especially if Eric doesn't make it to Tempai here, and the hand is actually still 2 away.
Yeah. The best case scenario for Kenyan now. Maybe you can't really suspect that Eric is in Tenpai. And even if he is in Tenpai and you're not, it's still not a big enough swing.
Yeah, Kenyon's thrilled with his outcome so far. Yeah, and will not make Tempai now, barring some ridiculous calls. And this would be one of them.
Yeah, I guess if you're Eric, you would try to
Okay, I
take
mean, you're
this.
obviously calling it here. I'd cut probably the 6 so.
You need to
But
be
yeah, or the
Tenpai if
5 mon, yeah. Ooh,
Gimmick
could
is
call
Tenpai.
here for Tempai as well, but you'd have to cut the 7 mon, which you're probably fine doing, and does.
Yeah, I wonder if Gimmick should have tried to stay Tenpai instead of Beatoring
Hey,
here.
Gimmick got Tempai
He did get it.
anyway.
Oh, nice.
So a nice little Tadashi on that last draw, and Eric drops to 31,100, which is third, but keeps himself over the 30K threshold. And the final scores are Kenyon with the plus 23.4, Gimmick with plus 8.8, Eric with 1.1, and Oliver, unfortunately, being the only person under 30K with that big minus 33.3.
Very nice. Yeah, I totally missed that Gimmick was actually Chitoyu Shanten that whole time. So congrats for, I guess, getting into Tenpai and that last draw. That was very needed. Took him from third to second just for being Tenpai.
Well, and the Tempai payments, you're talking what, 2.5 point swing and then the 5 for the placement. So that's 7.5 points right there. It's a huge difference.
Exactly. And now maintaining wasn't able to overtake Steve for first place overall, but just barely second. It's still a very strong second compared to the rest of the field.
All right. Well, I'd like to bully Edwin. So can we look at that top game? I mean, unbiasedly commentate an interesting B2 match.
Yes, looks like they're in South 2. So this is probably the last game they're playing today. And
Ooh, nice little cheat toy. And we come right in, and just like that, Edwin pulls off the Chinitsu and is in a pretty good place in South 3.
yeah, that was
And look at the hand here. We have pretty standard Pinfu hand, but looks a little slow. Maybe could go for the Tanya. That 6 so really helps, though. Off to the right, we have a beautiful Ishan Tunnel. Is that Ishan Tunnel already? Yeah, it is. Needs a head, but it's Yushanten. Across the way, we have Couple, a
Eat.
Penchon, a Concha. Well, that's definitely Tempai with the Sun Menchon 147. So for Ricci Pinfu,
That was
Impossible
the best draw.
Tanyao.
Yeah, that was the best
Wow.
draw you could have drawn.
And on the left, you have a hand that looks like a nice little Pinfu, maybe Sanshoku, or I guess no Pinfu because, well,
One.
okay. Deals in, Ricci Pinfu. No Aura, and as a result of the no Aura, Jowser manages to keep first place going into South 4. But here we have Dealer with a Haku pair and desperately
Home.
in need of a win. 20,000 behind third place. But you have a door,
Home.
you have a Haku. You can call this. You're obviously looking to pair up the 4-pin, but you're now in a pretty nice hand. A little slow, but you'll take it. Off to the right, we have a Chun call. Really need the 3-pin, so that feels really bad because it's very hard to get that to come into anything. Even though you complete the 5, 6, 7-pin, you still have that choke point on the 3-pin, which is the door indicator. And as we can see, there's only one on the wall. I don't see anyone ever dropping it. Across the way, we have pretty standard Pinfu type shapes. We really like the 7-pin to come together. And on the left, we have possible
Home.
2, 3, 4 Sanshoku. But as mentioned, that hand on the right is stuck, desperately needing the 3-pin, and Dealer in the meantime is also Ishan 10. Would really like to pull up the Dora. Wouldn't even mind the Dora Donkey weight. Or the Dora Nobeton weight, cutting the 2-pin here, waiting on 4-7.
Yeah, now we have Dealer and Garrick, who's on the right, as both Tempai. 7-pin looks better than the 3-pin. But this is the difference. I mean, Garrick would probably push anything here, as getting the win here would make him get to first over Jowser.
Yeah, and that 3-pin, it's just such a bad shape. And look at discards. If you had cut the 1 too early, you could be on that 3-4 waiting on 2-5, which would be a lot better. Oh,
Yeah.
but here's the question is, will that 3 come out later? Because we have it
Con.
across the way. And we see a con, and I mean, you have to con in that situation. You're looking for extra value. Doesn't get any extra Dora from it, but
No.
you do potentially get extra food. And that 3-pin, the last one on the wall, does come out. And just like that, we have a winner.
Yeah, we have Garrick overtaking Joe to first place there. Just a 1,000 deal in, so it wasn't too big, but with the Uma, that's still a swing.
Yeah, that's a 10,000 swing between first and second place. We have Edwin in third with that 31,800, which you'll take it, but then you have the last place, and that's rough with minus 38.7. Really thought you could win that last dealer hand, especially with the 4-7 pin. Unfortunate that the lone 3-pin in the wall came out.
Yep. But that was a really quick game when we got in there. We just went through South 2, South 4 right away. Quick calls. And that was exciting games, Karak. It was nice commentating with you. I think those are all the games that.
Well, I think I see one more up on screen. Do you want to do
Oh.
one of those and then hang it up?
Yeah, we could. Which one? I guess there's only one left, right? The top one was the one that we just watched.
Yeah, they'd be the bottom one. I'm pretty sure this is also a B2A pool game because I recognize some of those names.
Okay, so they're in East 4 now.
Wow, what a hand to walk into. Look across the way. Chanta, Hatsu, Haku, Dora. No Dora, actually.
Yeah, hard to incorporate one, but could still be Chanta, and that's
Well,
enough to
Chanta
be.
doesn't actually give you any extra
Yeah,
value
it
here because
doesn't
you have the
actually.
Hanitsu, yeah. Interesting option. Do you call the pay if it comes and switch to a more flexible or expensive donkey?
I like the 6-9, so wait here. But
In
you really
East
have the long
4,
one.
yeah, I probably don't. If you were in South 4, you'd like to do it to get over the 30K. But it's always
Okay.
something to think about. Dealer has a pretty nice hand here. It's just you're looking at what's happening across from you and you're kind of terrified.
Yeah, and actually Patrick was tempai for a while on the one zone, I guess on the nine pin draw, but now decides to break apart the tempai because of the Sarah of the hand right across from that June draw.
Well, would deal in here if he was in Ricci, so like I can
Yep.
understand it. Ricci only into obvious Mongon, probable Hanema. They can't tell there isn't any door in this hand, but honestly, I'd be surprised if this hand wasn't using the 1-2 in it somehow.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary hand. You do not want to deal in.
But here we have the person.
Oh.
Oh, and yeah, there's that 9. So tries to defend against the Ricci and ends up dealing into the direct competition.
Yeah, that was
So
tempai as well.
that's pretty rough. In the meantime, we have dealer here with Chun, probably just Chun only, because I think you just call it and throw the Dora. Of course, if you can connect the two, you'd love to cut that 3-so pair. Off the right, we have possible Itsu with the Dora. Needs some draws to pull it together, though, especially needing to also fill the Kanchan in. So across the way, we have pretty standard Pinfu type shapes, and off on the left, we have callable Shaw and Pei, where Pei is the Yakuhai. Not much value, but you'll take it. Possible also to shift to the Honitsu. Interesting here, we have dealer calling early, and there's the backfire on the Dora. But the 3 and the Shaw are pretty much locked up in Joshy's hand off on the left.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to. We're gonna see tempai here. Oh, for Matthew. Always, it would be hard to keep that door around. You're not guaranteed to connect
No, you're
anything
not
there.
guaranteed to it anyway. It's how greedy do you want to be? Because you can, and I have seen and even done situations where you do that and then you just cut the 3-so, waiting on where you have a 3-so and a 2-pin, figuring one of them's going to fill into a Rionman. But
Right.
normally you just take the tempai there, and that's what happened. Just unfortunate with the draws afterwards. Now we have a very nice Ishan 10 off to the right.
Yeah, that's not a perfect Ishanten. But no, it is a perfect Ishanten.
I think it's a
It's
perfect one, but
extended.
it's a really weird one.
Yeah, it's extended with the potential summon Shun. Very nice. Wait.
And across the way, we're starting to see a lot more pairs.
Yeah, and we're seeing Honitsu for Josh here. So the West seems like they're going to be locked in forever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree with the Honitsu choice. You are at 14,200 in South 1. You're going to be last dealer, but you don't want to put everything into that last dealer, as we saw in the previous game. Ooh, great tile to call. And still Ishan 10, but could put this together for a little more value.
Yep. And Dakota is also perfect Ishanten now. So we have three Ishantens and one Tempai. See where this hand goes.
Still not Tempai. That's really frustrating. You have that ridiculously
Wow.
wide Ishanten and this pile of Sumogiri.
Yeah. It's really frustrating to see. Oh, that West actually comes out here.
Yeah, I think you just cut the 2-so there. It's Suji.
Yeah.
You're not worried about it.
It also
Instead,
doesn't
pushes
take the
the
stack.
Shaw and pays for it, dealing into the dealer, but it wasn't that expensive. And unfortunately, shuts the hand down there. And dealer is rewarded after that win with 2 Dora and pretty nice shapes altogether. Would really like to get the 8-pin to come in, though. Off on the right, we have nice shape in pin, but not much else. Also has 2 Dora. Across the way, we have a few pairs, maybe a 1-2-3 Sanchoku now with that 3-mon draw. And on the left, we have possible 5-6-7 Sanchoku, possible 6-7-8, but that'd be a stretch because you're trying to switch a bunch. Looks to us like just like a Ricci Pinfu with possible 4-pin, but we know the 4-pin are locked up in other people's hands.
Yeah. I think if I'm dealer here, I might look to try to get call and get into just the Tanya door too.
Oh yeah, you're perfectly fine, especially if you can call the 8-mon particularly, you feel pretty good about your shapes.
Yeah. Otherwise, Patrick doesn't have that option necessarily with so many pairs. I mean, Chi is definitely an option. Or you can, I mean, the shapes are not that bad for him. So definitely
Interesting
can go
choice here for the dealer. Do you cut the 3-pin and lock in the 2 Dora? Do you cut the 4 Mon and go for the flexibility? Okay, I like the 4 cut there.
I do as well. I think that's the most flexible here. And I don't think, I mean, you'll be sad if you need to discard the Dora later if you hit like the 2-pin or the 5-pin, but it's still good value here.
You'll be sad based on your future draws. I think that's just a general rule of Mahjong.
Yeah. We have,
Yeah, I think
okay.
there's gonna be one more game in this group, but I think we're just gonna call it after this one. In the meantime, we have, I believe that's an Ishan 10 for the Dora 2. Still need that 8-pin, and it looks pretty good on the wall. So Dia's looking pretty good here.
Yep. We have an Ishan 10 for Josh. Perfect Ishan 10. We see the same shape we saw last time, actually. Extended summon Chan potential. Wait. Always.
Yeah, it
Okay.
takes the floating 2 so. Of course, you get a Sun Menchan if you can draw the 3 so later. And there are a few in the wall, so it's certainly possible. Ooh, oh, no! I think that 5 Mon is a pretty big mistake. You definitely want to cut the 8 Mon there and go for the Sanshoku. I think
Yeah.
that's one that when you look in the log, you're going to regret it once you realize it was there.
Yeah, the 567 Sanshoku was definitely a possibility.
Well, it's not a perfect Ishan 10 because you have a garbage weight here, but does increase the shapes a bit and can accept the 3rd Dora. But as we keep saying, the 4-pin are completely locked up.
Okay. Patrick is.
Okay,
Oh,
you'll
I'm
take
by.
it. Ricci Dora 2, waiting on 8-pin. And that 8-pin doesn't really fit in this hand very well. I think you just
No
cut the
save tiles
9.
either.
Your 4 is completely safe. You can cut the
Oh,
9,
4.
goes and cuts the 3 because it's 1 chance.
I mean, they are 10-5 for Chitoi Door 2. This is a bit scary, though.
Yeah, Ishan 10 for Chitodor 2. I mean, honestly, the 7 so is 1 chance, makes the 8 so 1 chance as well.
Okay, we see folding by Dakota.
Oh,
And
I
Josh.
definitely would just push the north. I mean, it just came out. You throw that and your Ishan 10 just
Yeet.
maybe looking for a little bit more here. And also waiting on the 8-pin now. Seeing basically the same thing I did, which is the 7 so makes that 1 chance. And they're both waiting on the 8-pin, and there are 3 left in the wall. It's a who
Yeet.
draws it first. But we also have a Ricci, but that's a 4-10 Ricci. But in the meantime, Ricci, Sumo, Chitoi, Dora 2.
Oh! Okay,
Doesn't hit the
we're
aura, but that's a huge win. And Patrick definitely closes the gap. Doesn't pull into first, but within 3,000 now in South 2.
yeah,
Starts his hand off with, hard to determine what route you want to go with this hand. Of course, you have the 8 on your door, you have all these pairs. It's one of those that you feel has potential, but you know instinctively is just probably bad. Off on the right, we have a Hatsu Anko. Really nice shapes in So. Decent here, needs a couple more things to come together, but you have so many floaters that shouldn't take that long. Across the way, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. I don't know what else to say about that. On the left, we have, nice shapes. We have an Anko of 1-pin, pair of 2-pin, Haku, 3-mon, and now also a 4-6 shape. So plenty of options, but probably not much value yet.
Oh, in the meantime, Patrick's hand now shaping up to be Chitoi, potentially Toy, potentially Sanko or Suanko. Oh, there's Chitoi Tenpai.
Ooh, could just Ricci here. The 8-mon's a pretty terrible weight.
Yeah, next to the Dora. Looking to improve the weight now. That's a
It's
good one.
instant Ricci. Instant
Yeet.
Ricci. Yeah, and does. Waiting on the Haku. As we can tell, 2 of them are locked in the hand off to the left, but they could come out anyway. Because that's the other part of when you have a pair of those, they look extra safe.
Yeah, if you're bailing, those are definitely the safest tiles you have. See if he decides to push or bail.
Sasuji first, and I agree with that. Because you don't want to completely give up on this hand. The problem's a 3-pin starting to look really bad. Oh, and there's the 8-mon. So that would have been the sumo, but you can't know that. You can't suspect that it's in the wall at this point because it's near Dora. And you look at the discards of everyone, and they look to be hoarding Mon tiles. You have the 9 and 1 on the left, but that's it for anyone.
Chi.
Could
Okay,
call
got it.
here and cut the 8. Yeah, now Tempai waiting on 3-4 Mon for Hatsu only.
But it would shut down this ginormous hand by Patrick, and didn't have to deal in
Ooh,
any dangerous tiles.
interesting. Off on the left, we have a hand that's really come together, but is afraid to throw that 4-7 Suji shape.
Okay. Dakota's changing his way to 6-mon only. I don't know if the 6-mon was that much more dangerous than the 4-mon.
Well, the 4-mon just came out, so play on the left says thanks. I'll take that. Goes to the Karagiri. This is one where the Karagiri is probably okay because you're suggesting you have a wait in so, but it's actually not. You're actually waiting on the Dora indicator, which is kind of disgusting.
One left for the 6-mon wait.
I think there are two. Oh, yeah, one left because we have one in the Dora indicator.
So
And
I
the
guess
key is that, ooh, now do you cut the 2? Interesting choice here. Could
cutting the
even cut
2
the
does make him
Hatsu.
furry 10.
Could also cut the Hatsu and just say, I don't need a Yaku. Because since it's
Yeah,
getting late, if you want to keep some folding options open.
yeah, I think I do like that option. See, I did have to push in several dangerous tiles for now.
But the question is still, where's the last Haku?
Are we going to see it? It's a real question. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Patrick that they were locked up. Oh, here it is.
Uh-oh.
You.
And it's really late, so you're scared of it.
Wow.
Goes ahead and shifts, and now it's completely deadlocked, and throws the Dore indicator into that hand, which is actually pretty scary. That's a bold play, but rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely rewarded. There was a lot of pushes there by Dakota at the end. Like the 4, 5, 6-mon were all dangerous, but ended up being able to get Tempai and maintaining the 1500 points or gaining 1500 points.
And rewarded with an Ishan 10 on turn 1, but we'll get to that in a bit. Dealer has a pretty standard Pinfu type shape, maybe a 3-4-5 Sanjaku, a Dora Hatsu, though that's not going to be of any use until you draw another one. On the right, we are already Ishan 10 for what would be Rishi only, or if you draw the 3-pin Rishi Pinfu. Across the way, we have pretty standard Pinfu shapes, maybe a 5-6-7 Sanjaku. And on the left, we have pretty standard Pinfu shapes, especially an interesting, possibly Peiko in Mon with a 4-5-5-6-8 Mon.
I wonder whose hand I like the most. We don't see any Dora. I guess we have one Dora in Patrick's hand, just floating
In
in there.
terms of value, I like the player on the left. In terms of speed, of course, you have the Ricci only on the right, but I kind of like the one across from us the most. Well, okay, now all of a sudden I like Patrick. I guess that's not Patrick's. That's
Dakota's. Yeah, Dakota's hand on the
Dakota's.
left.
Yeah, with
Or
the
right.
Champone with the 9 so Shaw. It both look pretty safe.
Yeah, good weight.
Oh,
Oh, the instant backfire.
oh, yeah, that's Majog.
But I do think it was right to get rid of the penchant over the West 9, so.
I mean, when you end up, you figure your bad shape is likely to be your end weight, and I much prefer. Ooh, interesting options now. I
Yeah,
might cut the 9. Oh wait, no, you have one. You have one pin out already. Although that last one pin's going to look super safe against you.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting choice. because you do have one less tile to wait on.
The other
But
thing
the
is,
weight
by
takes like
keeping
that.
the 9 so around, you can also accept the 8 so and potentially turn this into an actually usable shape.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Getting slight improvements from everyone's hand, but no one is even Ishan 10 yet.
The hand on the left is really looking good, though.
Yeah.
Need that 7 so to come in, but other than that, it's looking expensive. Well, okay, dealer's now Ishan 10 for Pinfu, possibly Peiko. Would have to throw this Dora, but there's already one out, so you're not that scared of it. And Tempai off on the right for Garrick, and we have you have to reach you. Why wouldn't you? The problem is the one pin is dead, and the Shaw only has one left. This is the problem with keeping that one pin around. Is with one out, if the second one comes, you're kind of stuck, and now it's a complete hell wait. And in the meantime, we look at the hand on the left, and that could have been super powerful if would have been able to take the Ricci earlier. But instead, may just be reading to the table. It's a very cowardly table, not really pushing much of anything.
Okay.
Who
Patty's
cut the
slowly.
3-5 here, and then the 5's going to be safe now.
Yeah, they're both safe now, and keeps the Ishan 10. Potentially waiting on one of the Genbutsu of Dakota if he fills in the Sozu shape first.
Well, the 9 doesn't look that bad anyway. So, how many 7s? 1, 2, 3 7s. So it is one chance, but the 9 doesn't look that bad anyway. Could even call for K10. I might do it, but it's a very aggressive play, too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you do have good weights on both sides, so you could probably wait like one turn or two if you wanted to. But
Well, it's also a wait and
it's
see
not
what you
bad.
draw afterwards. Is if you draw like middle so, you may have to think about it a little harder.
Yeah. I don't hate
But
this.
for now, most
Sure.
most of Mon looks pretty safe. Oh, well, now you just throw the other 9 in your Tempai.
Yep. Oh.
Okay,
I
or
guess
we could do that knowing the next 4 is also safe.
yeah,
Like,
that
that
works.
seems to match up with how I know Patrick tends to play. He's very don't want to deal in, so don't want to take the risk on a bad draw next time. And regardless of what you draw, the 4 is completely safe next turn, unless one of the other two backed into Dama 10.
All
And we
right.
get Tempai, where 2 are Tempai, and this does push Patrick up into first place in South to 2 with 2 Ricci 6 in the middle. And a pretty nice starting hand here. Do you just con now, or do you wait for a bit?
Definitely wait for a bit, and you can always have shapes around the 7-pin, the extra 7-pin. And of course, you can con later. Don't need to make that choice now. We see
On the
Dakota
right, we
calling.
see a 9-pin call. You have the double South Yakuhai, also going for a fast hand. The problem is the shapes, other than that, look pretty terrible. Maybe Chanta now, even. Across the way, we have beautiful shape. That is Ishanten for Ricci Pinfu Tanya Dora. On the left, we have a Haku pair, and gives up the quicker route to Tempai, but knowing you'd end up stuck waiting on that 3 so, which is probably not coming out. And we can, but in the meantime, we have a Domiton across the way. That is a 3-sided wait, 147 for Pinfu Tanya Dora. But it could you throw the 1 so it just Pinfu Dora. You do have that big stack in the middle, but I'm smashing the button, especially when you're this far in 4th place. I don't see what the advantage. Yeah, okay, just waits a turn. But that's another one of my pet peeves is waiting to reach you for no good reason. The interesting option here for Patrick Diacon now is you are Shanten with a pretty wide one too. I think you just throw. I think I would have gone ahead and taken the con because the 7-pin isn't necessarily safe, and you have such this wide Shanten, and you want to be fighting.
It is hard because either way, you're guaranteed to throw something dangerous. Like the 5-mon or the 6-so are both not safe. So if you con and then you have to discard one of them, it's a little hard. But like you said, the 7-pin is also not safe. So I think it was a hard decision to make.
Well, the other thing is, if you do that, well, okay, this I think ended up dealing in pretty soon. Maybe throw the Haku now, but I think off on the right, Garrick's hand is pretty doomed. And here he's going to see a call and probably the one cut. Yeah, that's going to happen. Breachy, Pinfu, Dora. And the Aura, and with that, Joshi at least is within striking range of third place. The Aura there is really big. Only a 6,000 point gap between third and fourth now. And Dealer now has a Hatsu pair. Pretty nice shapes other than that. Maybe even closed. Possible 4, 5, 6 Sanshuku as well. Could end up going Hatsu Sanshuku. And on the right, we have a double Yakuhai non-pair. And other than that, yeah, could use some work. The problem here, if you call the 9, is everyone knows your hand is kind of the shape it is right now. Across the way, in the meantime, we have a Shaw call. Again, not for much value either. That's just a 1,000 point hand, which wouldn't even be enough to get into first place going into South 4. And on the left, we have a tuned pair and pretty good Ryamen type shapes everywhere else. I'd call this. Call this, cut the 7 Mon, lock in your Dora pair.
Yeah, locking your door pair. You're in first. Just waiting on the tune.
Well, that 2 so cut massively helps out Joshi's hand.
Yeah, okay. Two tunes. Tune's probably coming out here.
Yeah,
now
you got the 7 Mon. I don't see why you'd keep something near Dora around. It does allow you to accept a third Dora. Ooh, in the meantime, we have Tempai off on the right for nothing. But you
right
can call
now.
this South that's about to come out. And we have Tempai for Dealer, also for nothing.
Yeah, 3 Tempais, or 4 Tempais, in fact. This 6-0 is
The
probably going to
6-0
deal
deals
in here.
into nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, it deals into nothing because it would be the dealer who doesn't have a Yakoi. Now you have to cut the South because you can call Dora. I absolutely cut South there every time.
Yeah, this is... I feel like the shapes on the sand, they definitely progress in a weird way. I'm not exactly sure.
Here is, okay, well now because you've dawdled, the South is now actually Tempai.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, if the 6 comes out and is called and then the South comes out, it would be Furi 10.
Oh, interesting. I guess decides that the South is too dangerous.
Well, it looks terrible against both of them. You have the probable Honitsu off on the right, which now shifts to an Itsu waiting on 4-so. The 7-so is an orange tile here, but won't actually deal into anything because there's no Yaku.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This basically just takes into a 1,000 point hand and you're only waiting on 3 tiles when you had the potential for a little bit more.
Maybe suspecting the dealer has well, here you just call this, throw the 4, and wait on the non yourself. And here you have the other problem, which is that the dealer doesn't have a Yaku.
Goodness. Yeah, we've seen everyone with no Yaku.
You see all of these orange tiles coming out. It doesn't actually mean anything. But this does get dealer back into Tempai, waiting on the Hatsu. There is 1 2-pin left, but it's going to be locked in Joshi's hand, so it's never going to be an issue. And the Hatsu has 2 in the wall, and honestly, it looks like it may be the most likely hand to win. Interesting option. Would you throw the live Dora into this? I don't think you can fold. Now, you don't con this if you're Patrick, so you're perfectly happy with the Mongon here alone. This is just so weird.
Yeah, hamburgers. I'd love to we should take a look at this and maybe feature it.
Okay, well, there's the sumo. The tune eventually comes out, and Garrick pulls in 1,500 points and another South 3 round. Gets rewarded with double Yakuhai pairs with the Chud and Tone. Pretty easy hand to call and pull together. You'd love to pull an extra Dora in and make some value from it, but even if you don't, you're fine. Off on the right, we have couple pairs, couple floaters. Honestly, doesn't look very good. Across the way, a nice little Hakulanko in pretty good shapes. I believe that is Ryan Shunten already. On the right, we have a Hatsu pair, a Dora 5-pin, and pretty good shapes as well. That is also Ryan Shunten. You call that, got the 1 or the 8, and it is now Ishanten. Even the hand on the right's finally starting to come together. But you do have all those pairs. I'm not sure what you do with the 1-3-3, the 3-3 in pin, the 1-1 in so. The 9 doesn't really go with anything. Ooh, in the meantime, Patrick picks up another Dora. Has to think whether to go ahead and keep it around. Does. An interesting option for Garrett could go Toy Toy now if you draw any of these pairs.
Yeah, I think our dealer's name is Dakota.
Oh, Dakota, sorry.
No problem. Yeah, he does. He's making progress here. Definitely. Now Ishan 10.
You
Calls
see
the
a
chew.
chewed here. This is
There
has
it
to
is.
come out. You call it Tempai. Of course, you'd love to draw a 4 or a 6 so, but I think the 5 so looks destined to come out for one of these other two. In the meantime, Patrick is Tempai waiting on 8 Mon, assuming he throws Dora. And I think you have to. Like, you have to throw a Dora here.
Could decide not to. I mean, you have good shapes in other places.
I think that's
It's
just
hard.
cowardice. No, it's not hard. You have Tempai, take it.
I guess if you are first place in this now, you can't really afford to
Well, if you
not
deal
win
in,
this game.
it's going to be like 5,800 minimum, but you look at the rest of these shapes, you go, how else are we going to make it? In the meantime, we have an Ishanten off on the right, but the 5 so finally comes out, and that will be Chun Tone with the extra foo because of the 2 Mononko, and another South 3. Dealer has a tone pair, really nice shapes with a possible 6-7-8 Sonshuku as well. Off on the right, we have a non-pair, couple penchons, so you'd really like some other stuff. It's starting to look worse and worse now. Across the way, we have yuck. The 2-5-8 in any suit always feels bad, and everything's a conchon. 1-3-7-9 2-4. Ugh. And on the right, we have a Hatsu pair, very distant but possible 789 Sanshuku, but really just looking for, okay, now definitely feeling like a possible Sanshuku. And you'd love that hand.
Yeah, it's Ishan 10 already. Hopefully you don't draw the 6-pin. Actually, you see a call from Josh with a double non here. And has some shapes to fill in, just did. One penchant.
Well, that 7-mon massively helps this hand.
Yep, exactly.
I like the 8-9 cut because with a 3, it's very likely if a 2 comes out, it will be discarded by dealer here. But we have Ishanten, 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 and garbage across the way. Could opt to call that 6-mon and take the possible Champone. Get rid of that 1-3. Could call here. Yeah, it does call the 9-pin, waiting on the 8 so for Tempai for Sanchuku only, but it would shut the hand down.
Yeah, definitely at this point, you don't want the dealer to win another hand. Or
dealer's going to say thanks for that and take Tempai, waiting on 5-8 so. That 8 will deal into both of them.
see who wins first. We don't. There's
Ooh,
still
that's a rough
3 8
draw.
pins.
You cut the 1-3. I think that's what I do. Once it cuts the 3-4, really reading that 2 so as a good weight.
Yeah, it is one chance for everyone.
And
But
there's
gets
the
punished
backfire.
here.
Yep. The 2 so is Kabe, so it looks pretty good, all things considered. But it's just not coming because 2 of them are locked up in the hand across from us. Then in the meantime, the dealer draws the 8 so, and with that, Dakota is now back up over 30,000 and closing with second place. has a pretty standard hand. You do have, oh, now that I look at it, it looks worse. Every single tile in the hand is odd. 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 7, 7, and now another 7, and north, north. So, a hand that feels better than it actually is. In actuality, it's terrible. Off on the right, we have another pair of non. I think that's the third time Joshy's had that
Yep.
in this South 3, and calls it and is in a pretty nice Ishanten now for double non-Dora. Across the way, we have bad shapes in Mom, but everything else looks pretty good. And off on the right, on the left, we have, I don't know, is that a Kokushi attempt? That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
The hand's bad. I don't think it was that bad because you do have that Hatsu pair.
Yeah, but it does look like a Kokushi attempt here. I don't know how many he started with, but now he has 5,
See, if
8,
you have the 8,
10.
7 now and the 1, 3, 4, 4, 6, 8, 9 in Mon, you feel reasonably good about this hand. Instead, it's utter garbage.
Oh, we didn't see a con by Matthew. But it was a potential. I think, yeah, it was a choice. Would have to get rid of or he has to fill in that penchant the 8-9 mon in order to feel good about it.
Cheat toy. I think you just go cheat toy now if you're Patrick. You're starting to really pair stuff up.
Yep.
Yeah, and seems to be going that
Agreed.
route.
Meanwhile,
Interesting possible Suonko route for dealer.
yeah, definitely possible. Wants to find one more pair ups, one more thing.
Well, and then you have the Sononko Dora, you Dama that anyway. Especially with only 2 8-pin left. Well, now you may just go toy toy if you're Patrick. Depends on what else comes.
All right. I mean, Matthew's still each on 10 here. No other value though. Tough to say. And Josh
Oh, but you
has
don't
been
want
each on 10
to.
for a while.
Yeah, I don't think you want to call this without the Yaku yet. Ooh, that's a really interesting draw. Yeah, it takes a very wide Ishan 10 possible. Stun Onko no matter how the... Well, maybe not. If you draw the 4... Oh. Oh. And now we see that Mon shape is just glowing orange as anything cut from it. But that's the best draw. Now you just Ricci the 5-pin, waiting on 3/6 Mon for Ricci Dora.
Oh.
You have to Ricci this. You don't have a Yaku.
Yeah, that should. He's furry 10. He is furry 10. So this is.
He is for Ricci. Well, even more reason to Ricci, as far as I'm concerned.
Another option maybe was just do north, but this is. I mean, he can still sumo himself. We don't.
The option of Dama here is that it does allow you to call the 3 and cut the north yourself. But I don't really like that. I don't think that's where your value is. Of course, we can tell the 3/6 is actually a pretty bad shape, but you can't expect 3 of them to be locked in the hand off to your right.
Oh, and we actually see Josh destroying his tempai.
Well, he drew
Because he
another
drew it
Dora
wrong.
and just didn't like it. Especially with the late 5-pin Tadashi from the dealer.
Yeah, but no one is reached. No one's actually showing that big
Yeah,
percent
but
of
you see,
danger.
that's another reason I'd Ricci is Ricci, and then you draw that Dora, and you're like, yeah, I can't push this.
Sure.
As
I
is, you
guess I'm talking about
probably shouldn't
Josh's
care that
decision.
much. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
Well,
now
yeah.
we're
I mean, I
tempai.
would not have broken up the tempai against the Dama. And we have a tempai across the way for Ricci only, waiting on 4/7. So
East comes out.
not
Wow.
tempai yet. Good con here.
Would be Yaku.
Yeah, a sumo and the Rinshan. And now Joshi is no 10, so it doesn't matter. You're just breaking it up at this point. The question is what's safe, and the answer is the 3-pin's probably safe. But instead, we have dealer and the player across tempai. And as a result, that lead that Patrick was feeling pretty good about a little bit ago, not feeling as good now. Dealer has some pretty nice shapes here for a Ricci, Pinfu, possible Sanjuku with the 678 or 789. You do have an annoying Ryokan. Well, that Chun pair kind of changes the story. On the right, we have decent shape in Pin, but not much else. Across the way, we have decent shape in Mon, but not much else. And on the left, we have a completed shape in So, decent options in Mon, but really doesn't look very good. In the meantime, the big hand here is the dealers, who's now Tempai for Chun, decides the Dama, waiting on the 7 Mon. Would really like to draw the 9 Mon here and take the Stanshoku. If you draw the 7, how greedy are you?
Eat.
Do you dare? Okay, well, it doesn't matter now. You also have the Suji on the 7 Mon, which may bait it out.
Yeah,
But
we'll
I'm
see.
wondering, if you draw the 7 Mon, do you dare 4-10 Ricci on the 6?
Yeah, definitely interesting choice. I think. I don't think I would.
I
Just
don't think
because.
I would. Well, even here with the 5, this is your other problem is if you draw your theoretical upgrade, you'd be 4-10, so you're not in any better shape anyway.
Right. And there are 4 Homba in the pool. It's nothing to scoff at.
And of course, the Sumo here actually has extra Fu because you have the Chunonko, the Sumo, and a Kanchan, so that would be 40 Fu for Ricci Sumo Chun. A Roan is just the Ricci Chun with the standard 40 Fu. But it's a weird one where a Sumo's 3 Han 40 Fu and a Roan is 2 Han 40 Fu.
Yeah, it looks like everyone is trying to bail here. No one else is close.
Now, when you have that deal of Ricci early, that's another one. I don't like the Sumo Giri Ricci's. It screams Nakasuji. It screams Suji
Don't.
weight, and that's what it is. It deals in with the 7 Mon Ricci Chun. Well, okay, get the aura. That'll take care of it. And just like that, Dakota's now in first.
Yeah, wow, what a dealer rampage that he's having right now.
Well, it's not just dealer rampage, it's also just a very passive table, not willing to fight a lot of the time. And you could get in trouble, but this is the other part is when you don't fight, all it does is leave the initiative in the hands of the person that does, who in this case is the dealer. Dealer's rewarded with a beautiful hand here. Probable Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, maybe any Peiko in Mon. Off on the right, we have a nice little Pei Onko. Possible Honitsu now with a Haku pair. Across we have a Chun pair, and not too much else. On the left we have a Shaw and Hatsu pair with a couple other pairs. So the question is, do you go Chitoi or do you just start calling?
Okay, well we see a call of the 1 Mon by Josh here. Doesn't actually speed up the hand because he has no Yaku without the Hatsu.
I think you just cut the 6-8 and go for the Honitsu, especially this far back. And yeah, it does.
Yeah, so this is the advantage of calling the 1 Mon.
Tempai with any of 2, 3, 5, 6. The 4 won't actually be Tempai, just be a really stupidly whitey Shanten. Good call to speed this up, but I think there's more value in staying close. This is kind of an interesting decision. Decides to pass.
Right.
Ugh.
Matthew
And
called the
Joshi,
6, so
yeah, well, I mean, going for the Chun here, just trying to shut down this dealer rampage. With the 2 Dora especially, I don't mind it at all. But interesting option on the right. Your Tempai with any of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 Mon. In the meantime, we have Tempai on the left, Dama waiting on 6 Mon. 6 Mon's actually a terrible wait. I probably just Ricci'd the 6 Mon and wait on the 9 so even with 1 out.
Yeah, the 9 so definitely looks
I think
better.
you have to call now. Your hand's looking pretty slow, and you'll call that as well. And I think we all know what's about to happen here. Because you didn't take that weight earlier, you ended up exposing yourself. And no matter what you do, you're going to deal in. Either way.
No.
Deals into the cheaper hand, actually, which is the 29 plus the 1500 Homba. And Dakota cannot be stopped. And again, has a beautiful starting hand for possible Ricci, Pin, Fudora. Maybe Tanya as well. You have a couple floaters in Pin. It's another really nice starting hand. Off on the right, we have Distant Dice Sangan. Probably more just going to be Toy Toy.
Oh,
That Tuso is a really aggressive play. I don't think I like that.
yeah, it does limit your options now. You can't even go Toy Toy.
Kind of brute forcing into the Chanta, but Toy Toy's worth more than Chanta. Across the way, we have. Is that. It's not quite Ishanten, but it's a really nice hand. You just have a couple extra shapes in. Well, that helps immensely. You have the 5/7 in So that you can now cut. On the left, we have possible 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku. Getting the 3 So is going to be difficult because 4 So is Dora, meaning 3 So is Dora indicator. But really, you're looking at the dealer's hand now, maybe even upgrading to Itsu.
Yeah, definitely look at that Itsu upgrade, especially if you draw the 3-mon yourself. And you'll be perfect Ishanten.
Well, I think you just cut the 8 pin here, yeah. And we have a nice
There it
little
is.
Ishanten across the way. Oh, man.
All right, locks
Oh,
in the
man.
King Fu, which I like. Yeah, no one else's hand is actually that fast, even with the call by Josh.
Well, I think a lot of that is the 2 So
Yeah.
pair cut. You've
Mhm.
kind of locked yourself into a very specific hand type. And look at the discards. It's just a complete mess now. That is now a perfect Ishunten across the way. Doesn't take
Oh,
it. Keeping the 5 So, I'm not quite sure why at this point.
potentially looking for a upgrade with the Dora draw. They probably do want to win the game. They don't have a.
See,
This is
here's
their
the
last
problem
dealership.
is this is the most likely tile to upgrade you, and now it's 4E10.
Yeah, that's true. It is very denier. They don't have a dealership left, so they might just be looking to see if they can overtake someone now. The sumo, but yeah, I think with the furry 10, it's hard
Well,
to.
okay, this will be Ricci Pinfu, but 4E10. I mean, you have to take the Ricci, because of course, if you sumo the door, you're perfectly fine with it. And Patrick says, okay, I think I've chickened out a bit too much, and now it's actually starting to bite me, so plays a little more aggressively now.
All right. Well, we see Josh throwing 2 7 subs because they're safe.
Good call here and throw the 7 So, waiting for Tempai on the 4-mon only, which is Genbutsu. So I don't mind this play at all. Ooh, but I believe that's Tempai. Is it? Yes, waiting on
Yes.
6 pin, which is Genbutsu to dealer. Of course, no one necessarily expects the dealer's Tempai, but the 8 Montef. Oh no, there's the
Oh.
4! Deals into the dealer who will not be shut down. Itsudora for the 2900. But look at all that Homba, plus 5,700, and it's now South 3-7 Homba. Ugh. And this kind of looks like probably the worst hand we've seen here for Dakota. Maybe a Chanta, maybe an Itsu, but it's not really the same that we've seen before. Off on the right, we see decent shapes in Pin, pair of Wind Yakuai, maybe a Honitsu shift now. Across the way, we see a blatant call for Chinitsu. And on the left, we see a blatant call for a quick wash away hand. You'd love to not have to throw that non, but you probably will have to. Okay, across the way, pairs up the Chun, so that will be Honitsu Chun, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, he does have good shapes there. And if he draws the Dora, he still can incorporate it.
Well, there's the first South, so I think you get rid of it now. And yeah, Patrick does. And here's Tempai. Wait, no. Yeah, that's Tempai waiting on the 3 pin for Haku only, but with plus 7 home bus. So instead of the 1,000, it's 3,100.
Yeah, this is any hand is valuable now.
Yeah, Dakota says, I don't really care. Yaku, Shmaku, I'm just going to start calling. But in the meantime, we do finally have a Ricci and
Oh,
very
we got the
likely an
Epots.
Ipatsu deal in. Great Shiapatsu. No, Ura, but you see that big hit. And because of the Ipatsu and all that Homba, it knocked Patrick under the 30,000, even in second place. Oh
Wow,
my goodness, look at that hand on the right. But first, we have deal with a really nice hand as well. Probable Itsu, possible 1-2-3 Sanchuku. Really starting to look expensive. But the big hand is the one on the right. That is a possible Suiso. All honors Yakuman. Doesn't believe in any dreams. No soul.
Yeah, I think
That hurts to watch.
yeah, there's definitely potential for that, and like the 9 so for example doesn't do that much for the hand either.
Lots of double Yakuman choices. You could have gone for the all honors. You could have gone for the Shosushi. Instead, just looking probably for the relatively cheap Toy, but that's just sad. Across the way, we have a Chun pair. Decent shapes in Mon, have the 2 Dora there. And on the left, we have decent shapes, but an obnoxious 899 for where the rest of the hand is probably Tanya. So probably not too much value. But regardless, I'm just sad. Like, no matter what happens in this hand, I'm going to be sad.
It is a Mongon, so it will take him, if he sumos, it would overtake third place, or overtake second place, excuse me, and take him over the, or I wouldn't take him over the
What
30,000
you need
mark.
the Hanemon. And the other thing here is if you kept the 9, you'll also have a Honroto backup as well. There were so many ways for this hand to have a lot more value than it did.
Okay.
Could have called the 9 Mon for a Sanshku, but we do have a Tempai on the right for Toy, Double Non, Hatsu.
8,000.
Would just be the 8,000, of course. You're really looking to con and getting a little bit more value in it. A dealer here is looking for some sort of pair in a really awkward Rian Shanten.
Yeah, throwing the 7 soul was a little bit ambitious potentially, but I guess he has good weights everywhere else. Just looking to pair up something.
Now we see more toys. This one possibly from the hand across, although you'd be perfectly fine with the pretty standard Chundora 2 if it turns into that. Uh-oh, but I think that deal's in. There's the direct hit on second place, so that will be second with that Toy Double Non Hatsu for 8,000. And just like that, we have Dakota storming through with the dealer Rampage in South 3 and plus 43. We have a minus 2.2. We have Patrick at minus 13.5 and Joshi at minus 27.3. And I think that hand's a great representation of why you have to be willing to fight.
Yeah. We saw a lot in that dealership where people were going back in Shantan, and when you slow down your hands like that, you just allow someone who's a little bit faster just to overtake the game.
And hey, if everyone else is folding, you just push even kind of reckless stuff, and all it takes a couple draws, and you'll really run up the score. And that's taking advantage of the weaknesses of your table. And if you do that, that's how you get promoted. So, congratulations to Dakota for the big win. And especially with how long that game ran, I think we're going to hang it up here. It's been nice to call things. Any last thoughts, mister?
That was exciting to see. We saw both A1 play and B2 plays today. And I really enjoyed commentating with you, Korak.
All right. And that's going to be all for us. This is Korak for the American Riichi Mahjong League signing off. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.